Tonight, a quiet but monumental shift is happening on the edge of Europe. On February 13, 2026, Romania and Moldova have sealed the border, cutting off the last supply line to Russian forces in Transnistria. No tanks, no soldiers, just laws, agreements, and a declaration. 1,500 Russian soldiers are now stranded, isolated on a narrow strip of land with no direct access to Russia. The dream of a Russian land bridge to Europe is over. Moscow's influence in the region has been dramatically weakened. These troops, once a threat, are now a liability, dependent on the goodwill of the very countries they were meant to intimidate. This is a masterclass in soft power sovereignty reclaimed through diplomacy and strategic alignment. By integrating border controls and legal systems, Romania and Moldova closed a loophole Russia exploited for decades. Supplies, food, fuel, military hardware, can no longer reach the Russian garrison. Moldova's message is clear. Its future lies with Europe, not under Moscow's shadow. For Moldova, this is a leap toward independence and European integration. For Romania, it's about securing its eastern flank and supporting its closest partner. For the West, it's proof that unity can counter Russian expansionism without war. For Russia, it's a strategic defeat, its troops now isolated, its power exposed. A new chapter for Eastern Europe has begun. For over 3 decades, Transnistria was Moscow's outpost in southeastern Europe, a tool to destabilize Moldova and threaten Ukraine. Russian troops and weapons gave Moscow leverage, but that grip slipped away without a single battle. The turning point was Ukraine's decision to seal its border with Transnistria after 2022, cutting off Russia's main supply route. Suddenly, the Russian garrison relied on a fragile air corridor through Moldovan airspace or transit through Romania, both now closed. Moldova asserted control over its airspace, blocking unauthorized Russian flights. Romania, as a NATO member, aligned with Moldova and the EU, shutting down Russian military transit. The final blow: full integration of Moldovan and Romanian border controls. Russia's troops weren't defeated in combat, they were cut off by paperwork, regulations, and the resolve of 2 neighbors. This is a new kind of geopolitical struggle: quiet, patient, strategic strangulation. Russia's reliance on brute force was outmaneuvered by border guards and international agreements. While Moscow focused on traditional warfare, Moldova and Romania changed the rules. Sovereignty was defended not on the battlefield, but at the border crossing and in government halls. The unfought battle for Transnistria was won through cooperation and law. Russia underestimated its neighbors' determination and lost its foothold. The lesson: borders and alliances can be stronger than armies. Russia's Novorossiya project aimed to capture southern Ukraine and connect directly to Transnistria. If successful, Ukraine would be landlocked and Russia would control the Black Sea coast. But geography turned against Moscow. Transnistria is a narrow strip, sandwiched between the Dniester River and Ukraine, with no seaport or direct Russian border. Its existence depended on resupply through neighbors, first Ukraine, then Moldova and Romania. After Russia's invasion, Ukraine sealed its border, halting the land bridge plan. The Ukrainian defense of Mykolaiv and Odessa stopped Russia's advance. With Ukraine closed, the only access was through Moldova and Romania, never a viable military route. Both countries, moving toward the EU and NATO, refused Russian convoys. Geography, once an asset, became a trap for Russian forces. Moscow overestimated its military and underestimated its neighbors. The land bridge became a bridge to nowhere. The failed plan left Russian soldiers stranded, cut off from home. The dream of Novorossiya died on the plains of southern Ukraine. Moldova and Romania's coordinated diplomacy turned Russia's advantage into a crippling disadvantage. Geography, alliances, and determination proved stronger than Moscow's ambitions. 1,500 Russian soldiers, remnants of the old Soviet 14th Guards Army, are now trapped in Transnistria, their mission peacekeeping and guarding the massive Kobazna ammunition depot, a powder keg with 20,000 tons of unstable munitions. Before 2022, Russia could rotate troops and supplies through Ukraine. Now that route is closed for good. The only other way in or out is through Moldova's capital, Chisinau, but Moldova controls its airspace and borders, blocking Russian military access. These soldiers can't be replaced or resupplied without Moldovan permission. They're living on a geopolitical island surrounded by unfriendly territory. Most are local recruits with Russian passports, but the command structure is Russian. Now cut off from Moscow except for insecure communications, morale is low, their mission is meaningless. Once a threat, they're now prisoners of geography. The Kobazna depot is a bargaining chip, but Russia's negotiating position is weak. Moldova wants the troops gone but fears the risk of an explosion at the depot. Russia may try to use this fear for leverage, but its options are limited. The longer the soldiers remain, the more isolated and irrelevant they become. Their presence is no longer a symbol of Russian power, but of its decline. Moldova and Romania are integrating around them, tightening the noose. The trapped soldiers are a testament to a failed strategy. The world is watching as their isolation grows. The era of Russian military leverage in Moldova is ending. Romania and Moldova's response has been a quiet revolution, deep integration, not military posturing. Romania offered citizenship to millions of Moldovans, making them EU citizens with access to travel, work, and study across Europe. This personal connection to the West transformed lives and built a powerful bond. Integration goes beyond passports, harmonized laws, joint infrastructure, and shared energy grids. Romania's support helped Moldova reform its government and economy to EU standards. Every new bridge, power line, and legal framework pulls Moldova further from Russia's orbit. This is soft power at its best, winning hearts and minds, not territory. The benefits of European integration are visible in daily life, making pro-Russian arguments harder to sell. The silent unification is driven by the will of the people, not by force. Moldova and Romania, united by language and history, are stronger together. Their cooperation neutralized a decades-old Russian threat without firing a shot. This model shows how nations can defend sovereignty in the 21st century. The map of Eastern Europe is being redrawn, one passport, one law, one power line at a time. Moldova's new reality transforms security for NATO and the EU. Transnistria, once a flashpoint, is now contained, a major strategic victory for the alliance. Romania shifts from frontline state to anchor of regional stability, projecting security eastward. NATO can now focus on building resilience in Moldova and Ukraine, not just military defense. The new frontier is democratic and economic integration, not just military lines. The EU's support, candidate status, financial aid and technical assistance, anchors Moldova's future in Europe. A stable democratic Moldova is the best defense against Russian aggression. Security now means strong institutions, economic growth, and the rule of law. The containment of Russian forces was achieved by joint efforts, not by troops. Europe's new frontier is more resilient and more united than ever. Moldova's story echoes the division of East and West Germany. On one side, the Republic of Moldova, embracing democracy, reform, and EU integration. Its citizens, many with Romanian passports, enjoy freedom and opportunity. On the other, Transnistria, a Soviet relic, economically stagnant, politically repressive, and dependent on a distant Russia. The Dniester River is a new Berlin Wall, dividing futures. Moldova's progress highlights Transnistria's decline. Young people leave, smuggling dries up, and the West's allure grows. Moldova's success undermines the separatist project, creating internal pressure for change. The silent unification is a human story, people choosing freedom over isolation. Like the Berlin Wall, Moldova's division is artificial and unsustainable. History suggests such barriers cannot last forever. The future is being decided by the choices of ordinary people. Russia's old playbook, military intimidation, is obsolete. Air resupply risks confrontation. Land intervention is impossible. Moscow is forced to accept it as lost control. Hybrid tactics, disinformation, energy leverage, political meddling are all that remain, but they're losing effectiveness. Moldova, with EU and Romanian support, counters Russian propaganda and builds resilience. The economic benefits of EU ties are real, making pro-Russian narratives harder to sell. Russia's reputation is damaged. Few Moldovans see it as a partner. The only realistic option is negotiation, troop withdrawal, and safe disposal of the Kobazna depot. The era of Russian dominance in southeastern Europe is ending. Moldova's quiet containment of Russian forces is a landmark victory for European security, achieved without a shot fired. Decades of frozen conflict are ending through patience, strategy, and unity. Supporting Moldova's democratic and economic development proved more effective than military confrontation. A strong, sovereign Moldova is now a security asset for the continent. This model can inspire other regions facing similar threats. The final resolution of Transnistria will close a chapter of Soviet history. Withdrawal of Russian troops will symbolize Moldova's full sovereignty and a blow to Russian ambitions. The Black Sea region is shifting toward Euro-Atlantic influence. The message to Moscow? Europe's nations are free to choose their future, and they're choosing it together. A continent once divided is moving toward unity and peace.